Really quick, I now have a Patreon. Completely non-mandatory, but if you ever feel like supporting my channel, here's the place to do it. Thanks. How's it going, adventurers? If there's one thing that makes Zelda games special, aside from the exploration, and the characters, and the music, and the story, and the visuals, and basically everything else, it's the dungeons. Dungeons are the perfect counterpart to Zelda's exploration in traditionally bright overworlds, the contrast between the two making the descent into a dark, monster-infested labyrinth all the more intimidating. And since I've been trying to let you guys know me more as a person, I thought that today I'd run you through my top 5 favourite Legend of Zelda dungeons across all of the games. It was really hard to narrow it down to 5, so if one of your favourites didn't make the list, let me know in the comments. So without further ado, let's get into it. Number 5. Dragon Roost Cavern, The Wind Waker. In terms of starter dungeons, Wind Waker's Dragon Roost Cavern is where it's at. Great introduction to the game's mechanics? Check. Actual useful item? Check. F***ing awesome looking boss? Check. Dragon Roost Cavern was a perfect introduction to the Wind Waker's brilliant dungeon design. Set inside the raging volcano beneath the dragon Valu, who's being tortured by Goma, one of my favourite parts of this dungeon is actually the mini-boss. Medley's trapped in a cage by just 2 green bokoblins? Okay, let's give these guys the work. Oh, and a mail order moblin. How does that thing never mind. This fight is awesome because at this point we'd not fought a moblin, only ran away from them at the Forsaken Fortress, and this is the perfect way to introduce one of the game's heavyweight enemies. Overall, a great dungeon. Number 4. The Ancient Cistern, Skyward Sword. Ever since the very first game on the NES, Zelda games have had a tradition of hiding secrets behind waterfalls. Skyward Sword took this to the next level, however, by adding one of the best Zelda dungeons to date behind a giant waterfall in the water dragon Farron's domain. When the dragon herself stops the water, the Ancient Cistern is revealed, a beautiful labyrinth of water puzzles and massive stone carvings. I mean, sure, the Ancient Cistern is pretty cool to start with. It's a pretty well designed, Eastern-styled water dungeon, yeah? But what really kicks it up to the next level is that it's actually built on top of a kind of hellish underworld. I know. Descending into the statue head reveals that under the beautiful stone waterwork lies a corrupted abyssal second half to the dungeon, full of cursed zombie-like reanimated bokoblins. This dungeon is full of so many awesome creative moments, like a point where Link has to climb from the underworld up on a thin string, while cursed bokoblins chase him from below. Creepy. And then we can't forget the dungeon's boss, one of the best bosses in any Zelda game, a massive Buddha-like robot with the voice of a child. Only in a Zelda game. The fight against Koloktos involves ripping his arms off with a whip, and even using his giant scimitars against him. Smashing his chest grate open to hit his weak spot is just so damn satisfying. Number 3. Palace of Winds, The Minish Cap. Minish Cap is my favourite 2D Zelda game, and fittingly, Palace of Winds is my favourite 2D dungeon. Just when you think you've seen all the world has to offer, the game throws you for a loop by introducing a whole new area above it, the Cloud Tops. When Link searches for the wind element, you first think it'd be found in the Fortress of Winds in the far reaches of the swampy Castor Wilds. However, he learns that the Wind Tribe left the surface in favour of the clouds, so he follows them to the top of Vale Falls and into the sky. Up here lies the Palace of Winds, a dungeon set far above the surface below, which Link is constantly reminded of by large parts of it being exposed to the open sky. There are a load of reasons why I feel that this is my favourite 2D Zelda dungeon, such as the impressive feel of genuine depth it captures, despite being a 2004 2D Game Boy Advance title. The mini-boss is a red Darknut, fought one-on-one, mano-a-mano, in an area surrounded by open air on all sides. Taking a bad hit from the armoured foe will push Link off the platform, making it quite a formidable battle. And of course, this dungeon introduces the awesome, awesome Roc's Cape, a cape which allows Link to glide large distances. This adds a whole new level of depth to the dungeon, and makes one of the most creative 2D boss fights possible, the GYORG pair. The GYORG pair. Where Link must fly between 3 massive sky manta rays in a weird but fierce high altitude battle. Number 2. The Earth Temple Wind Waker. Being my favourite Zelda game, there's no big surprise that the Wind Waker gets a second entry on my favourite dungeon list, this time with the chilling Earth Temple. Part of what makes this dungeon so awesome is the stark contrast between it and most of the Wind Waker. From travelling across the bright, vibrant seas with booming heroic music, to the dark, musty Earth Temple with its quiet, sombre theme. The Earth Temple is one of the 2 main companion dungeons in the game, along with the Wind Temple, where Link's joined by the Rito Medley on his journey into the depths of the Earth, which in my opinion at least was a really cool mechanic, using her ability to fly and reflect light with her harp to your advantage. Seriously, the Earth Temple for me has to rank as one of the creepiest Zelda locations, along with places like the bottom of the well and the Shadow Temple. It's so claustrophobic and dark, full of nightmarish redeads and the bane of my childhood, Floor Masters. Similar to the Stone Tower Temple from Majora's Mask, Wind Waker's Earth Temple heavily relies on using light and reflection in its puzzles and combat, shedding light into the darkness. While the boss wasn't really anything special, I think it's the atmosphere and feel of the dungeon more than anything that earns it the number 2 spot on my list. Number 1. The Forest Temple Ocarina of Time. As Patrick Rothfuss writes in my favourite book The Name of the Wind, there's nothing quite so delightfully mysterious as a secret in your own backyard. And in terms of Zelda, this feeling is why I love Ocarina of Time's Forest Temples so much. As everyone knows, you start the Hero of Time's adventure in Kokiri Forest, a magical, sheltered wood. Exploring the forest for the first time is one of my favourite memories of playing the game as a kid, finding the Kokiri sword in a hidden alcove, battling through the great Deku Tree's parasite-ridden insides, and especially discovering the mystical Lost Woods and all its hidden areas. And then, partway through the game, young Link ventures deeper into the Lost Woods than before, finding the haunting Sacred Forest Meadow, and just beyond it, Saria's hidden place amidst some great stone ruins. And we thought that was it for the Sacred Forest Meadow, until returning there as adult Link with the hookshot, and discovering that Saria's stone ruins were actually part of the entrance to the Forest Temple, a great, empty mansion in the process of being swallowed by the woods around it. While I'm not sure the actual dungeon is anything special by Zelda standards, the reason the Forest Temple stands as my favourite dungeon is its design and its atmosphere. There's an incredibly strong sense of loneliness in the great empty halls of the temple, which is made all the more prevalent by the eerie, haunting music. Thanks for watching this top 5 video. What would your top 5 Zelda dungeons be? Leave them in the comments below. And if you want to talk about Zelda, YouTube or life in general, check out my Discord in the description below. And also I now live stream on YouTube every Sunday evening from 7 PM GMT until midnight. I didn't last Sunday because my webcam didn't arrive in time. This coming Sunday is my birthday, so I'll let you guys know on my Twitter if I'm going to live stream. If you like this video, leave a like, and if you haven't already, consider subscribing. Cheers guys, and I'll see you next time.